You know, when I first heard of the coronavirus back in January, I thought of the Lyme disease joke all by myself, and I thought I was so clever, but then I Googled it and someone else had already thought of it. Oh well. Welcome to WatchMomo.com, and today we're counting down the top 10 diseases or illnesses or sicknesses or whatever in Avatar: The Last Airbender. They can be any type of disease or illness or medical condition or whatever, and they can be outbreaks or isolated incidents or whatever, I don't care. Alright, number 10. The foaming mouth guy. Now, I don't really know what's wrong with this guy, but a foaming mouth is not usually a healthy trait to have. I mean, rabies can cause foaming mouth, and rabies is a pretty terrifying disease. Avoid any mammals you see with a foaming mouth, and if you get bit by something that might have rabies, make sure you get the rabies shot right away, because if the symptoms show up, you're as good as dead. But I don't think this guy has rabies. If he did, he definitely would have died between the 2 times that Team Avatar saw him. I think he's having seizures from overexcitement or something. He's probably someone who's prone to having seizures, and his seizure threshold is reached by excitement whenever he sees the Avatar. It doesn't seem to be that bad though, because he recovers pretty quickly. But I don't really know, I'm not a doctor. Alright, number 9. The Zhang tribe had some sick people. So, The Great Divide is considered by many fans to be the worst episode in the series, but it does have some sick people. When the Zhang tribe was arguing with their rival tribe, the Ganjins, about who should be able to use the Earthbender guide to cross the canyon, they argued that they should go first because they had some sick people that needed shelter. The Ganjins countered this by saying they had old people who were weary from traveling. The Zhangs argued that sick people get priority over old people. The Ganjins remarked that the Zhangs wouldn't have so many sick people if they weren't such slobs, to which the Zhangs responded that if the Ganjins weren't so clean, maybe they wouldn't live to be so old. Now, I don't know what the Zhangs were sick with. I mean, there's a lot of problems that can be caused by being too dirty. I mean, you can get infected with E. coli or something. So it is generally good to have good hygiene. Although it is also true that being too clean can be unhealthy. There's a lot of bacteria and stuff that we need to be healthy that live in our gut and on our skin and whatnot. But right now, as this global pandemic rages, I think it's okay to be too clean right now. Anyway, eventually Aang interferes and forces both tribes to share the Earthbender guide, and he says that Appa will carry their sick and elderly people across the canyon. Now, maybe the sick people didn't have contagious diseases, like they just had food poisoning or something, but even as a kid, I thought it was kind of a bad idea to put all the sick people with the old people. And that's especially true right now. Everyone should be quarantining themselves. Look, I know COVID-19 is usually only fatal to old people and immunocompromised people, but even if you're young and healthy, you should really be quarantining yourself so you don't increase the risk of transmission to those people. It's spreading really rapidly right now, and I'm sure you've all heard about flattening the curve so that at-risk people can get the care that they need when they need it. If too many people are getting it at once, we're going to overflow the healthcare facilities, and there's not going to be enough healthcare workers to treat everyone. Apparently, it's gotten so bad in Italy right now that they're just choosing which people they're going to let live and which ones they're going to let die. If you want a more thorough explanation about this, watch this video up here from I don't know how to say this YouTuber. I don't know how to say their name, but watch it. I mean, we live in an age where there's more entertainment than ever, so staying home for a few weeks or even months isn't that horrible. Now, if you need money and you can't work right now, I get it. That sucks. I'm sorry. But in the US, at least, we are getting sent money to help us get through this. So make sure you get your stimulus package if you're in the US, because you should be getting one unless you're rich enough. But anyway, get over your fear of missing out, don't be selfish, and just stay home. You know, just watch Netflix, or rewatch Avatar if you can. Read a book, master the elements, play some video games online with your friend, paint a picture of a cassowary, watch all of my YouTube videos. There are plenty of things to do to stay entertained. If you feel lonely, just call your friends on Skype or something and have a chat. It's not difficult, just stay home unless you really need to go out for essential reasons. Do it! Yes, you can! Or unless you're watching this after the outbreak is over in like a few years or something, then just disregard everything I just said. Alright. Got off my soapbox there. Alright, number 8. The sick people in the Painted Lady Village. So when Team Avatar is traveling through the Fire Nation in Book 3, they stumble upon a fishing village that has been severely polluted by a nearby military factory. Many of the people are sickly from all the pollution, and Katara wants to stay and help, but Sokka says their main mission is more important, so they need to keep traveling as soon as possible. Katara devises a plan to make them stay longer so she can help the village, which leads to number 7. Appa's PBT. What is PBT, you ask? It's purple berry tongue, which isn't a real disease, but I'm still allowing fake diseases on this list. Katara feeds Appa a bunch of purple berries and convinces Team Avatar that Appa is sick so they can't travel. While they're stuck there, she uses this time to help heal the sick people and destroy the factory, and she takes on the persona of the Painted Lady. Sokka figures out that Appa isn't really sick, and blah 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 blah. You know all the rest. Alright, number 6. Princess Yue being born sick. Yue tells a story of how she was born sick. She didn't cry when she was born like most babies do. She was born like she was asleep. The waterbending healers couldn't do anything to help her, so her father pleaded with the spirits and placed her in the spirit oasis. The moon spirit healed her by giving her some of its life force and turned her hair white. She later gave this back by sacrificing herself to revive the moon spirit after it had been killed by Admiral Zhao. So after some really quick Google searching, I found that babies not crying when they're born is often a symptom of perinatal asphyxia. It's when a baby is born and is having trouble respiring sufficiently. You see, crying is usually an indicator that a baby is breathing properly. Now this can be caused by a whole bunch of reasons and can definitely lead to death if not treated quickly, but I'm not a doctor, you can look all this up if you want. But I do find it interesting that the waterbending healers were not able to do anything about this, showing that their healing powers do indeed have limitations. Alright, number 5.
Lung cancer. Inoperable.
Walter White having lung cancer.
Wait, that's not from Avatar.
Yeah, I know this is an Avatar, but I could only think of like 9 diseases from Avatar, so we just have to put this on the list somewhere.
They're gonna yell at us for clickbaiting and stuff again. Why didn't we just do top 9 diseases from Avatar?
You know, because top 10 sounds better. 10, it sounds official.
They're also gonna yell at us for arguing again, because we've done this too much.
That's it, we're doing it, we're putting it on here. We're doing it! So yeah, this is an Avatar, but Breaking Bad is also a great show. The lung cancer is basically what initiates the entire plot. I won't give anything else away, but if you haven't watched it yet, I definitely recommend watching it while we're all in quarantine. It's the only other show I've seen besides Avatar that I think is consistently great from beginning to end. I even made a video about why I think that is, so check that out if you want. It does have spoilers though. Wait, I just remembered that the Sandbender who stole Appa, like the leader, his mom died of skin cancer when he was young. It wasn't said in the show, but they said it on his backstory that was on the original Avatar website that isn't up anymore. Maybe I should have put that on the list. We could have had 10 diseases from Avatar. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. But go watch Breaking Bad anyway. Alright, number 4. Azula's mental illness. Now, Azula was never a normal person mentally, but she was at least mentally stable until the end of the series. I think her fall into insanity first started when she was betrayed by Mei and Ty Lee at the Boiling Rock. I mean, despite having controlled them with fear previously, I think she still kind of thought of them as her friends. Her poor mental state was exacerbated when she realized that her father didn't really love her, but was just using her as a tool the entire time. She realized there was nobody who actually cared about her. This caused her to have a complete mental breakdown, and according to the Avatar wiki, she exhibited signs of paranoid schizophrenia, which is characterized by delusions and hallucinations with a sense of impending doom and paranoia. Now, people always debate whether mental illnesses are nature or nurture, and I personally think it's a degree of both. If Azula had been raised in a more loving and normal environment, I definitely think she would have turned out better. Anyway, after she was defeated, she was actually put in an insane asylum, which is actually shown in the comics, but I'll cover that more in a future video. Alright, number 3.
I don't feel right.
Zuko getting sick after freeing Appa. So in the Lake Laogai episode, Zuko tracks down Appa with the original intent to somehow use him to capture Aang, but he really didn't think his plan through, and after some deep conversation with Iroh, he instead decides to release Appa from the Dai Li. And then in the following episode, Zuko falls ill upon returning to his apartment. Now, this is more of a psychosomatic illness caused by a mental factor such as internal conflict or stress. Iroh says that the decision that Zuko made to free Appa was at such conflict with his image of himself that he is now at war within his own mind and body. Now, I know the mind is a powerful thing, but I don't know if it can really cause symptoms this severe, such as a cough and fever, but I don't know, maybe it can. I'm not a doctor. But I do definitely think that stress and conflict can exacerbate symptoms of an illness you already have. But I don't know, like I said, I'm not a doctor. Now, I put this one high up on the list because I think it's a pretty vital part of Zuko's character development. After the illness, he wakes up and he seems like a much more pleasant person, and we think he's finally gonna turn good and join Team Avatar, but then... You all know what happens at the end of book 2. Alright, number 2. Sokka and Katara getting sick in the Blue Spirit episode. So in book 1, episode 12, The Storm, Sokka goes to work on a fishing boat and they end up getting caught in, you know, a storm. Aang goes to save them, blah blah blah, you all know it, and then in the next episode, Sokka comes down with an illness that Katara says was related to him being out in the storm. Now I hope it's well known by now that cold weather can't actually cause you to get sick in and of itself. There needs to be like, you know, a virus or a bacteria or something to get sick, but there is apparently evidence that cold weather can increase your chances of getting sick. Apparently some research suggests that some viruses spread and replicate better in colder environments. Another factor might be that cold weather might weaken the immune system, causing one to be more susceptible to viral infections. Anyway, whatever virus Sokka did have spread to Katara, so then Aang had to go look for medicine for them. An herbalist tells him that sucking on frozen wood frogs would help because the frog's skin secretes a substance that will cure the disease. While going to look for the wood frogs, Aang gets captured by the Yu Yan archers under Zhao's command, and then Zuko comes to rescue him as the Blue Spirit and blah blah blah, you all know the rest. Eventually, Aang helps cure Sokka and Katara by giving them the frogs. Supposedly, this idea of frogs as a medicinal substance is an idea that comes from real life. Some people thought that some amphibians have medicinal properties, such as this Colorado River toad. It doesn't really have medicinal properties, but apparently it does have some hallucinogenic chemicals. Anyway, I also think it's interesting that Aang never seems to get sick from this illness that Sokka and Katara had. Maybe air nomad people are more immune to it than water tribe people are for some reason. Alright, now I'm pretty sure I've heard of number 1. Pentapox. When the Earth Kingdom city of Omashu is under Fire Nation occupation, that rhymed, Team Avatar decides to sneak into the city through the sewers. While they're in the sewers, a few small cephalopod-like creatures called purple Pentapox attach themselves to Sokka's face. After removing them, they leave pox-like markings all over his face. While being questioned by some Fire Nation soldiers, they ask what's wrong with Sokka. Katara tells them that he has Pentapox, a disease she makes up on the spot, and that it's highly contagious and deadly. The soldiers flee fearing infection, one of them pretty sure he knows someone who's died of it. Later, while talking with the Omashu resistance, Sokka comes up with a plan for all the citizens to escape the city by pretending to have Pentapox. So they get a bunch of purple Pentapusses or Pentapi? Pentapodes? And they make everyone look sick with all the markings. They all march into the city's main square, acting very sick, and the Fire Nation decides to drive them all out of the city to rid Omashu of the disease. Now, I put this one as number 1 on the list because even though it's completely fake, even within the fictional world of Avatar, it's the only one on this list with any pandemic-like characteristics. Plague! You know, which makes it most relevant to current events, which I'm sure you all know about unless you're living on North Sentinel Island. So yeah, I just really want to remind everyone again to quarantine yourselves. I really don't like the term social distancing. To me, it sounds exactly like the kind of soft language that George Carlin warned us about.
I don't like words that hide the truth. I don't like words that conceal reality. I don't like euphemisms or euphemistic language. I won't have to die. I'll pass away.
Go watch his stand-up routine on soft language and you'll understand what I mean. Like, the term social distancing sounds like you can still be social. You just have to be distant about it. You just have to be 6 feet apart, but you can still be social. Quarantine. Social distancing. Quarantine. Social distancing. No, call it quarantine and everyone take it seriously so we do minimal damage to our society. I'm sure most of you have loved ones who are at risk, so think of them. Also remember to ration your resources. I remember in World War II they had different days of the week where they wouldn't eat a certain type of food so they could ration that type of food better. Maybe we should try that again. Meatless Mondays, taco-less Tuesdays, wipeless Wednesdays. Okay, wait, no, don't do that last one. Wheatless Wednesdays. Oh, and by the way, this might be kind of random, but I've always thought in a couple decades they should do a remake of Forrest Gump, but instead have it take place from the 1990s to the 2040s or something. Now, remember in Forrest Gump how he would describe historically significant things?
He got me invested in some kind of fruit company. And so then I got a call from him saying we don't have to worry about money no more.
In the remake, they should have him say something like, everyone was getting sick from drinking too much beer or something. And it would also be a reference to how Tom Hanks was probably the first A-list celebrity to contract COVID-19. It would be perfect. They have to do that.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Alright, one more thing to talk about. So if you didn't know, there's this thing that the Lego company has called Lego Ideas, and it's where just anyone can create an idea for a Lego set. So this guy messaged me because he's creating an Avatar Lego set, and in order for it to actually be made by Lego, it needs to get 10,000 supporters on the actual Lego Ideas website. So it would really help me and him out if you would just go over to the Lego Ideas website and create an account and become a supporter of him. It's totally free, there's no obligations or anything. I'll put a link to it in the description, so do it. Go do it! It'll help me out, it'll help him out, blah blah blah. Alright, so thanks for watching. If you're new to my channel, its main focus is Avatar The Last Airbender. Now, if this quarantine persists for a few more months, I definitely will have more time to create videos. So subscribe for more Avatar related videos, hit the like button, leave a comment. I actually want to know, to everyone in the comments, do you or someone you know have COVID-19? Because I personally don't know anyone who has it, and I'm just curious. I'm just really curious. Tell me what's happening, tell me your stories. If you're from another country besides the US, tell me what's happening there. They say most of us will get it eventually, but I just don't know anyone who has yet. I'm sure I will soon, but anyway, I'm just really curious. Also, if you want to help my channel, you can support me on Patreon. Big thanks to my patrons, Jay Campbell and Colleen West. Although I totally understand if you all want to conserve your money right now during the quarantine. Alright, thanks for watching. Stay safe. Remember to quarantine yourself. I mean, unless you're watching this like after the pandemic's over in like 5 years or something if you're watching this video, but if you're watching it now during the pandemic, quarantine yourself. Alright, bye.